Hi, everyone. Welcome to Proactive Health Collective of Keene.
Absolutely. How are you?
It's going to be a couple of us to start, but everyone else should be joining in soon.
Well, I think we're going to have Tisa. Probably going to be it.
Oh, good. Oh, okay.
It's going to be a girls' show today. Probably, yeah. And see, we're also live streaming on Facebook. I'm going to take a second and go there for a minute and see if I can put it on my personal page, because a lot of people found it there last time when I couldn't put it on the Proactive Health Collective of Keene myself.
So the note that just popped up, it's now streaming live on Facebook.
Proactive, yeah. But I'm also going to put it online. I'm going to share it because people seem to like it.
Well, today we were going to just kind of talk about the holidays and things that come up around the holidays. And it's a stressful time of year for everybody, which I think is unfortunate. But there's so many things that we can do and to battle the overwhelm and prevent the overwhelm. And we can chat about that today. But we'd love to have you guys participate. You can put your information, questions that you have, or things that you struggle with, or things that just things that come up for you. And we'd love to kind of give our different perspectives in our fields of medicine on ways that we can overcome or prevent those types of things or balance them out. So you can write little messages in that chat box at the bottom of your screen. And we would love that.
Yeah. And then Debbie McKenzie, she said it took her a while to sign on. Well, it didn't really take you a while to sign on. We were delayed in starting the webinar. That's all. So you were kind of left in a waiting room. So,
that was us, not you.
Yeah. So in my perspective is a little bit different too. Coming more from not that what Allison said was negative or anything, but coming from a more positive standpoint, what is it about the holidays that are just really things that we do during the holidays that are just really good for us? Things like being together with friends and families, building family traditions, doing things like singing together and, getting together to eat, so I'm going to be talking about this tomorrow on the radio program, things like that. Taking time to read a book. And I think, and just, understanding how awesome, taking in the awe and the wonder of nature and things like that. I think one of the biggest problems is that we can get so caught up in holiday demands, that we miss out on those things. And I've just gotten too old to miss out on those things anymore. I just say no. I used to say be involved with a million things during the holidays, singing groups and all kinds of stuff at church and all these rehearsals and everything. And I'm like, no, I'm just not doing all that stuff. I'm not, because I really want to savor and enjoy the holiday and not be, a holiday slave.
Yeah. I think it's a time where there's a lot of energy. It's the solstice, and you can channel that energy into those positive things. And it's also easy for that energy to kind of, if you don't have the strength or literally the energy fields of your body open so that it can circulate smoothly, it's easy for it to get stuck. And then you're kind of in this overwhelm pattern where it gets a little bit more negative. So you can kind of channel your energy and use it to look at the brighter things, or it can control you a little bit. So, yeah. I always think when there are periods of heightened energy, it's important to remember the basics, I think, of health. And, a positive mindset, getting enough sleep, getting enough water, and maybe coming at it from a stance of you don't need all of these things, but these things are enriching your life. You don't have to have all of these supplements, but if you have these supplements, you feel good. Making them work for you.
Yeah. Now, Andy was telling me that my mic was really low. Is this better, Andy?
That is better.
Okay, great. I changed what mic I was on. So thanks for letting me know that. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I just really think I just love the holidays. I love the holidays, but I love the simple things about the holidays. And I love just extra time. Like our daughter just came home. She'll be here for a couple of weeks and she just got home yesterday. And so, we just already had fun. We had supper together. We laughed and, while I was hanging in on the Keene City Council meeting when they were voting in the mask, but we were doing that. And it'll just be more of that. It'll just be hanging out, playing games, watching movies, doing things like that take time, but they don't take a lot of money, and they don't take and they don't make you crazy. They help you recoup. I think the holidays should be a time for refreshment, not the opposite. And I think this year we have to understand that it's a little weird too, because Christmas and New Year's Day fall on a Saturday. So we don't get that extra, you get a holiday plus a weekend, that kind of thing. We just got a weekend. And so my church came out with an announcement on this past week, because I'm on the music team, that we're going to do caroling on Christmas Eve downtown Keene at 10. And then we're doing a Christmas Eve service. This was all brand new news. And then we're doing a New Year's Eve service. And I said, that all sounds wonderful, but I won't be at any of those things. So you just say, no, that would be crazy. So I'd be Christmas Eve, and then we have Christmas Day. And then I will be at church on Sunday for 4 hours on the music team. And then, you know what I'm saying? So you just have to say, no, when it's just not appropriate for me, it isn't. And don't worry what people think. I think that's another thing, that people can feel bound by other people's expectations in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Do you know that book, The 5 Love Languages?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's written in so many different languages all around the world. But I think when it comes to presents, I think a lot of people get stressed out, and a lot of people's love language is not gift giving or gift receiving. So I think that's a source of stress for a lot of people. I think it's good to remember that your gift to somebody can be quality time, or it can be a gesture that you do that's nice to them. I wish we could reframe it a little bit so it wasn't such a hallmark sort of presence, and spending money can be really stressful.
Oh, I said it was just going to be girls today. Oh,
yeah.
Well, and a special surprise.
You changed that whole dynamic there for us. I'm glad you did. Look at you.
Cute little teddy bear today.
Oh,
look who it is. Say hi.
And this is his first Christmas. Yeah.
First Christmas. Yeah. He is 9 months from first Christmas.
Well, Merry Christmas, River.
Hey, thanks. See, we're not going to be stressed for the holidays. It's a first Christmas. There's no stress.
No.
Right?
Right.
What does he think of the holidays? Do you guys have a Christmas tree? Is he kind of like, what is going on right now? Why are my parents bringing a tree in the house? Or
Well, he was asleep. No, he was awake when we brought it in. So he was kind of like, what's going on? And then we decorated it. He was already asleep for a nap or whatever. And we decorated it. So we brought him down and he was like, oh my gosh, what is that? And I have my favorite Christmas ornament is it's from the 1996 Olympics that were in Atlanta. And sings the song, the anthem of whatever it's called. It's dun 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 dun. So that's my favorite ornament. My parents have one too, of course, because we're from Atlanta. And I turn it on and he's just like, he just looks the other way. He doesn't really get it. So, but he did grab the tree the other day and try to eat the pine needles, and that's not edible. So, we're all about edible plants, but this is not one.
Yeah. Actually,
hopefully the more engaged he is, he'll start to really, he is interested in the presents underneath though, because there's already, so.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And then wrapping is just so intriguing.
Oh, tissue paper. I got to post a video of him playing with tissue paper, because then the cat comes up because the cat loves tissue paper and they were playing with the tissue paper together. It's pretty funny.
Oh, that's so cute.
what a great example of just getting the joy from the simple things and not, you know, when you get to be an adult, you lose so much of the magic because there's so many different things going on and you feel obligated and there's just this stuff, but it's just the tissue paper is like
Yeah.
so
It's a
joyful.
present in and of itself. We're trying to, you know, we want to obviously honor the magic of Christmas. And I don't want it to be all about presents. You know, I want it to be about presence, like being with people, the presence of being with people, not the gifts.
Yeah.
And still, like, you know, figure out Santa and do all that. Being present.
Well said. Well said.
Yes, I agree. And so it's just like, it's more about like being together, and like, you know, since our family is not close and not immediate, the time we do get together is important. So
Are your parents coming up?
we're going down.
Oh, you
to
are.
Atlanta. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We're gonna take, because he hasn't met his cousins yet, or his aunt, my sister. So it's time.
Yeah.
We're pretty psyched about that.
That's really great. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Any fun traditions that you guys do? Or did
Well,
you already talk about this?
we were kind of just, I was talking about, I just love the simple stuff. And just came to my mind is puzzles. I love to do like get a jigsaw puzzle out and just be the kind of thing when you're hanging out, you know, you go over and you work on it, and then you go laugh and do something else, and you come back and, you know,
I
do a
love
few
that.
more. Yeah. Yeah.
My mom's English, so we have the crackers at the dinner table.
Oh,
and,
yes.
You know, they're like the little rolls, and they have these funny little toys and jokes in them, and then they all have the hats, so we all wear our
Yes.
little
Yeah.
hat
Yeah.
at the table. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's fun. We always go and have hibachi. We go to the hibachi grill and
Oh, yeah.
do hibachi for Christmas Eve. That's
oh,
been
nice. That's a great.
tradition for 20 plus years, ever since we moved to Georgia. That's what
Wow.
we do Christmas Eve.
Nice.
That's really cool. So we're talking about, you know, what do you think? We're helping people. Allison and I were talking a little earlier about, you know, the holidays can be stressful. And I was mentioning how it's kind of weird too, because our holidays this year fall on Saturdays, which are weekends. So you're back at work on Monday. I mean, at least I am. I'm closed on Christmas Eve, but I'll be back at work on Monday, and I'll be back at work and we'll be open the whole week, and then I'll be back at work. So it's kind of weird. It didn't really give us, unless you took time off. If you planned a vacation or something like that, that's different. But for a lot of us, it's just a little blip that we really get to celebrate the actual holiday. But, you know, I think a lot of us just kind of enjoy things, whether it's starting to watch holiday movies or reading books or things like that earlier on, and enjoy the season longer. But what are you noticing, Dr. Tisa, in your practice, yours and Matt's practice, with people stressing out over the holidays? Are you seeing more kinds of, manifestations in people's bodies or that kind of thing?
Yeah. So it's really interesting that you were bringing this up. So we wrote a blog or an email about, 11 ways to handle stress over the holidays. And, you know, some people are just kind of like over, you know, they don't want to necessarily get stressed out anymore about it. And so like they're handling it so much better. And so one of the big things that, like, number one that I have in my little email here, it's like, plan the holiday you want, you know, instead of planning the holiday that everyone always expects. Just do what you want, you know, picture the day going and flowing super easy, and you're just, you know, you're spending time with whoever you want to spend time with, you're making some good food, watching the movies, you know, because even on a weekend you can plan and have in 2 days a very restful weekend if you make it so. Because if you're making it about running around and doing all this and that just for everybody else, it doesn't really serve, right? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
River likes
and then,
that.
yeah. And then just doing things that make you happy. And then, you know, setting boundaries, like proper boundaries of what you will and will not do. Like, you're not going to run and do all these activities. You're just going to be like, I want to do these 2 things. These are the most important. So, because people will be like, oh my gosh, because a lot of people have 4 families instead of just 2, like, the husband, wife, or partners, parents, but then you have extra parents, the 4 families that you have to go to if it's that much. And that can stress people out and be like, okay, so this year we're just going to go to these 2 people's houses, or this year we're going to have everybody come to us, and setting those boundaries are really important. And then don't focus on things you can't control. You can't control how other people are going to respond to stuff. But you can focus on what you can control, which is what you want to create, and just kind of letting it roll off. And if one person isn't exactly happy, well, that's not your control. That's their reality. Like, oh, we didn't make you made an apple pie, not a pumpkin pie. Well, goodness gracious, it's okay to change things up, right? So there's just a bunch of things. Have a kid, and everything will be funnier again.
Good advice.
It's like, and it's okay to say no to things. Like we were saying, like I'm setting the boundaries and saying no. Like, I'm not going to everybody's house.
Yeah.
He's saying, no, I want a nap right now. And then like the time to disconnect, meaning not disconnect socially, like just getting on a computer, but like disconnecting from the routines and doing something different, going for a walk if you can, be out in nature, even if it's, just going and seeing a movie. Just kind of just relax and chill, read a book, say, I actually just want to take a few hours and I just want to sit here and read, or, whatever it might be. And then, money is always a big thing. So sticking to your budget, like, if you're having people over, you don't have to go all out and buy like the fancy dinnerware and whatnot. You can just kind of go within your budget. If paper plates are cheaper, then get paper plates. My mom loves paper plates. So.
And you can get some really pretty ones too.
And you can. Walmart's great. All right.
Yeah.
Gentle, please. Those kid and hair. And then another big stressor that we see all the time in this holiday, it usually starts around Halloween, is the sugar intake, like limiting your sugar intake. Yes, we love the sugars and the wine and the cakes and the pies and all that stuff, but maybe just having like one small piece of everything instead of, a big piece of everything, because sugar can stress you out, and it's a chemical stressor that creates more tension in the body. And it can really wreak havoc on
the topic of
everything.
sugar. I was super sensitive to sugar and like white bread. So for breakfast, especially, is when I would notice it. If I ever had like waffles and syrup or pancakes, I would get so moody. And and my blood sugar too was always like I had to eat every couple of hours, otherwise I would just feel like off. And ever since I started taking this Ion Gut Health, it's made by Zach Bush, I have felt like I'm eating pasta again, and eating bread, like it does not bother me in terms of I don't notice anything like I used to. And my blood, like I just feel so much more even keeled in terms of my eating patterns. It's been really awesome. Yeah.
I'm actually going to put that link in our chat.
Yeah.
To that product. We've talked about it before. And I honestly think we talked about it. I talked about it on a totally different webinar. It might have been Rise Up or something, but I mentioned you, and so people are interested in that. And it's very excellent for kids. It's totally approved for autistic kids, and kids with autism tend to always have gut issues at the same time. The brain gut connection. Yeah. And I think the reason I got talking about this at another time was because of another client of mine, and she's got, a child who's autistic, and she loves this product. And it's a lot of people don't realize they're not getting enough trace minerals, just generally speaking, not enough minerals. So it sounds to me, Allison, like that basically healed your gut.
Yeah. And I mean, it wasn't overnight, right? So it's one of those
Mhm.
things that I didn't really notice a difference, but I just, you just get a hunch that something's good for you. I'm like,
Mhm.
I think this is really good. Like, and I love things where you're not swallowing a capsule or a tablet. Like you can taste it. I feel
Mhm.
like that makes a big difference to your intuition somehow. Like you just know that that's good for you. But it
Oh,
covers all.
some people might argue with that. Like people are like, oh, that nip it in the bud. Or I love MSM, but it's super powder. It's MSM powder, super
Yeah.
bitter. Now, some people are like, oh, I just can't. I'm like, I love it because it feels like it's so good for me. I can't really explain it. It's the same thing with the herbal things. Like, some people are like, oh, I can't do that. And I'm like, because I don't know, I get that sense of, like you were talking about, I get that sense that this is, I don't know, a sense that it's good.
I wonder if, like with essential oils, I always tell people if you like the smell of it, it's good for you. Like you
Oh,
should. I wonder
really?
if it works kind of like that. Yeah, the olfactory system, it's like where you process smells. It's right next to the limbic system. That's like your oldest, sort of most primal. And yeah, I think if you're like, yeah, I think we know. But then I wonder also, like, I cannot do wormwood. It is absolutely repulsive to me. I tried a liquid tincture of it. But maybe that's because there are parasites in my body, and maybe that's what's responding to that, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I've got plenty of it back there. I'll have to take a little taste and see if it's just
Oh,
generally horribly repugnant.
I do.
You guys would know wormwood
Well,
is
maybe do it in a
absinthe.
tablet or something.
Yeah.
Come on, I mean, that's what people use to make it old fashioned. Kind of essentially, absinthe is, yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant
And
wormwood.
the bitters. No, it's a drink. The old fashioned. My grandmother used to drink those all the time. And that's wormwood. That's absinthe. So yeah,
Oh,
yeah. But
wow.
I've never dealt with parasites that I know of. So I've never used, like I use wormwoods in my anti-parasite formula, with some other things as well. But so that's never been one I've ever had in my repertoire for myself.
So yeah, this iron gut health, it reverses the effects of glyphosate, which makes everything your cells just leak apart.
Oh,
The blood-brain barrier. So this, it's like an ancient soil. Like it tastes kind of like a little bit of like dirt, and but it's a very mild taste. And yeah, so you can see the before and after of the cell lining of your intestines under the microscope, and after supplementing with it, it just adheres it all. So it literally just creates that boundary again. And when the cells leak, that's that leaky gut,
yeah.
just chronic inflammation pattern, because your body is trying to like not recognizing this.
Ooh, that just made me think of this for a certain client. Oh, I'm glad you mentioned this again. Oh yeah.
It's been working really well for a patient with ulcerative colitis. A lot of people really like it, but that's a good case. And
yeah,
also,
that's really good. Yeah. I've got a person with severe leaky gut, and we're doing very high dose L-glutamine right now, like 15 grams twice a day. Most people who use glutamine don't use enough. But wow, something like that. And I think there's so much leaky gut going on right now, and leaky gut is behind so many problems. Because what happens with leaky gut? What is that? Leaky gut is basically the spaces in your intestinal wall are too big, and you get molecules of things that shouldn't be getting into your bloodstream through your intestines are getting in there. So food allergies, all kinds of things can develop, and inflammation is really involved with that. But let's just even go back. I mean, I'm really intrigued by the whole fact that it deals with glyphosate poisoning. So, because that's a big, big problem today. And for those of you who maybe don't know what glyphosate is, it is, Roundup. It's basically what they spray all over our fruits and vegetables and anything else, and it runs off the agricultural land and it gets into the water supply, and it's very, very hard for us to get away from it. So this type of a supplement is probably what we would call more of in this day and age, probably more of a foundational supplement for many in order to combat, we move to our own, planet where everything's like the Garden of Eden again. So we can't do that. So we really have to protect ourselves from the inside out. But that sounds really awesome. Glad you mentioned it again. Yeah.
Yeah. And a newfound kind of thing I'm experimenting with it was actually my patient's idea. And he's like, just rinse it around your mouth before you swallow it and kind of get it in your teeth. Because there's so much like powerful minerals in there. And I went to the dentist earlier this week, and my gums are always recessed, and they're always measuring, a little bit more. And I have good dental hygiene. I think it's genetic. My mom's English. I just had awful teeth, always had cavities. But this last time around, they were like, wow, like things are looking really good, So,
Very cool.
But yeah, I'm excited about it. And the minerals,
Yeah.
like your bone health, and the gut is your mood, you're making compounds for your immune system, for your hormones. It's just the foundation of everything. So.
And trace minerals are super important, and they're lacking. We don't get a lot of them like we're supposed to because our soils are so nutrient deficient. So normally where we would get some really good minerals, we're not. We know iodine, and I won't get on iodine again, but I mean, iodine deficiency is rampant. I have a lot of people using lithium orotate as a supplement because we can't use our B vitamins properly without it, and it's very deficient in the water supply. So trace minerals are just really very important. And so when we say trace minerals, we're talking about zinc, selenium, molybdenum, copper. You need a little bit of copper, you don't want tons, and it is a zinc balance kind of thing, but we need them in small amounts, but we need them. And we're not getting them, even if we're really careful about our food choices because of soil depletion. And soils have been depleted since I would say around the 1930s, started first noticing soil depletion.
Plants don't just automatically come with minerals in them. They have properties where certain plants will absorb that from the soil. Yeah.
Yeah, they're really cool plants. Let food be thy medicine, Hippocrates said that. So father of medicine, it comes from, the outside in approach is like what you eat, and I always heard the phrase, you are what you eat. And I believe that to be true to an extent, but when I went into chiropractic school, I started really realizing you are what you're able to digest, because you could eat, and it's not going to do anything if your body is not functioning and not absorbing what it needs. And the leaky gut is a great example of that, right? Yeah. And how that like leads to all the, comorbidities or cofactors that are happening psychologically that go along with leaky gut. And I think there's so much to unravel between the two because there's such a correlation. Because like we always say, I have a gut feeling, right, Allison? Like it feels good, like something in my gut, is telling me that it's good for me. Well, the gut is the second brain because it has just as many, neurological connections. And that's why they say gut feeling, because it's true. And so if your gut is not online and the nervous system connection isn't as efficient, you're not going to digest. You can eat and take so many things, but if you're not able to really use them, it's kind of, like eating plants that have glyphosate, which is killed by, nutrient depleted soils. So, and I think one of the benefits we have up here, which is awesome, and I never really appreciated this until I moved here, was the local community of farmers. And you can get such nutrient dense foods that are organic and they're not sprayed with a bunch of stuff. And we just have that luxury up here. I believe that was never something that I thought about when I lived in Atlanta. And so it was just a really nice way to fuel the inside, from the outside, because what we eat is really important. And so, like the sugar intake, just being careful with what we eat is very important. And then like a couple other things is like getting sleep. Sleep is huge for our body's ability to heal. and so many people, even on a weekend, everybody's more stressed out after the holidays than they were before the holidays.
Yeah.
Because they just kept going and they run in the midnight oil, and it's really time to honor yourself and rest, even though you have, I know, a ton of things to do, but the self-care that we don't do ends up getting us all through the end of the year. And then by, the new year, we're just
Again,
worse off than we were.
yeah.
So finding time to like say self-care, that whether that's working out, whether that's walking regularly, going outside is huge. I noticed that now that, with River, if I don't take that kid out, at least once a day, it's not fun. He loves being outside, whether it's cold or not. I don't go for walks if it's below 40, but if it's above 40, we go for walks. We just bundle up and we go for a walk because we have to. He loves being outside, and it's so cleansing because we're stuck inside with a wooden stove. So it's dry, and we both are like coughing just because, 'tis the season of a wood stove, even though we have humidifiers and everything going. It's just important to be outside regardless of the weather. And I think that's another advantage we have up here with all the fun activities that we get to do outside. I mean, skiing's huge here.
I mean, I grew up here. So goodness, we came home from school and we went out and played. I don't care how cold it was. You put on your snowsuit and off you went. We had a hill in our backyard. So we had saucers and, you just did that and your mother yelled out it was time for dinner, and then you had dinner and then you went back out until you had to go to bed, you know what I mean?
Right.
And you just smelled the beautiful sorry about that, you smelled the beautiful cold air and the snow and all of that, and it's just magical. You see the stars, and so yeah, we were, I don't know, did you guys spend a lot of time outside? I did as a kid, but I'm older than you by quite a bit. So we didn't have, we had books. I read tons of books, and you lie on a couch to read a book or sit in a chair. But we weren't big television watchers. In fact, when I was younger, our younger years, our parents didn't allow us to watch TV on school nights. So we just never, that was not a thing. And then, so we did, we played all the time. And being outside, whatever the weather was, and with kids in the neighborhood and riding our bikes and playing steal the flag in the, in the front yard or that kind of thing. So I don't know. Those are just fond memories, just being outside. Yeah.
And it's super important for kids, like if you're, and and it can be supervised, right? Parents can go out, read a book, or just hang out in yards. I remember growing up the same way when I was in Missouri, like playing, going through people's backyards up the creek to get to a friend's house. And then we'd sled down or we'd play in the ice in the creek and all that. Yeah. We're always outside. And we just bought River 2 snowsuits. So I'm really excited about that. And I want to get a sled. Yeah. And I actually did buy a sleep sack that has arms, and it really looks like the kid from Christmas Story. I'd be like, I can't put my arms. It's just like a big puffy sack. It's so cute.
I can't put my arms down.
Watch that movie. That they always do a marathon on that. So
well, Dale and I had COVID a few weeks ago over like Thanksgiving weekend. And we watched, we caught it but it was pretty close to the start. And of course you can just you can just watch it anytime you want, but we just kind of stumbled into it. And that is just, you can't not laugh, that's just such a great movie. I love that. Yeah.
It's a great classic. So so those are really important. Again, like I said, the self-care, and then obviously, just being who we are, visit your healthcare practitioners, come see us, get adjusted, go to Becky, get your herbal tinctures, just really help support the immune system, balance your chi, do the things that serve you during the holidays. And that's, I think we get so wrapped up, pun intended, wrapped up in everything else, like what's really not important, and losing what the holiday is all about, which is being together. And so those are kind of my stress handlers.
The thing about being together too, of course, we're in a kind of a weird world right now because of COVID. So we have a lot of, some families are not getting together like they used to or whatever, but whatever, group you are able to get together with, really enjoy that. They've shown here that 4 reasons friends and family are good for your health. Helps you cope with stress. People who spend time with family and friends find healthier ways to cope with stress. A study conducted by Carnegie Mellon University found that people use their family and friends as a stress buffer, talking about their problems instead of seeking negative coping mechanisms like drinking alcohol, smoking, or doing drugs, may lengthen your life. An article in the American Society of Aging noted that older adults with larger social networks have a good episodic memory, better cognitive functions, and a lower allostatic load, which is the wear and tear on the body and brain from being stressed. Having a good relationship with marital partners, adult children, siblings, and friends contribute to these positive health effects. And then improves your psychological well-being. One study found that people who view their friends and families as supportive reported a greater sense of meaning in life and felt that they had a stronger sense of purpose. And it's good for your cardiovascular health. So having good friends and a strong social support network can relieve stress. One study published in the Annals of Behavioral Medicine found that people who discussed difficult times in their lives had a lower pulse and blood pressure when they had a friend by their side. So I think that that's the wonderful thing too. And I'm super grateful for, our family, because we're just, we're like peas in a pod and we enjoy one another and we really don't have stressful family relationships. And, that right there, and I'm not saying that everybody can enjoy that. And that's the case with everyone. And like, I think it was Allison earlier, you were saying you can take care of your part of it, but you can't own what somebody else's part is. And, you can kind of need to release yourself from that. But I don't know. I mean, when we're together, we're just laughing and just having fun and there's no pressure.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest key, and keeping certain topics, conversation topics to a minimum,
Yeah.
like ones that create emotional responses, ones that, is a difference of opinion, because there are so many people that have been alienated from family and because of what's been going on in the world. And really, is it worth it? No. You can't control it. So why would you lose a family member or stop talking to someone like your best friend in the process?
Yeah.
It's
I
just
agree.
not worth it.
And it's not hard to do, especially for a family gathering. There are so many things to talk about that are interesting, that have nothing to do with politics or COVID or vaccinations, or not vaccinations or whatever. There are so many things to talk about. And when we've been in groups where we know there's people with different opinions, it's not hard at all. You just don't talk about it. And there's so many other things to talk about. My goodness, there are so many things that are so interesting to talk about. So yeah, just avoiding a confrontation about stuff why? That's not the purpose of getting together,
The winter season is the water element in Chinese medicine. And so that's like the yin, it's like inward and downward, and it's darker, there's less daylight. And it's really a time of quiet and reflection. And it's the kidney organ system. So it's like your very personal sort of DNA or life path. So it's about really solitude and connecting with yourself at that deep level. And so I think honoring that, and, just in wintertime, everything is quieter outside, that fresh, crisp air, and you can find such a peace in the woods in the wintertime. And then the earth element controls water. So you can use that. So the earth element is bringing people together and nourishment, like eating together and harvesting crops and socializing and connections with family and relationships. So if the water element's a little bit out of control or just not really balanced, maybe you have a lot going on or you're stressed and it's kind of getting to you and you're not connecting with yourself, you can use that earth element, use your support and your people around you, and that will actually, that's a great way to help.
Yeah. That's so interesting, because I really do feel that way. Even when I was on my quarantine because of COVID and I was at home. We have just such a peaceful, beautiful living space, and we've got twinkly lights all, and it's just like, this is just so peaceful. I mean, I almost really, it was almost like something I was like, wow, I would never have done this day after day. I did still work, and I met with clients over Zoom, and I interacted with my staff. So it wasn't like I was on vacation, but just sort of that quiet and more controlled, like, life around me. And in this time of year, it was really kind of, in its own way, it was a little magical. So yeah.
There is, I don't know, you guys remember, and the people who are listening, Dot Maver came on our show, I want to say April of this year. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful human light. And she is part of, and I know she had mentioned this, the Global Silent Minute, and they do programs every so often. It's usually once a month, sometime around the solstice, or just different parts of the time of the month. And I haven't been able to follow them just because of the timing of what they do. But I did one actually right before the election. And I think I said this in November of last year. And I was just like, I had a crazy vision of like people who lights were coming out of people, and it was just shooting out into the atmosphere and around the world. And it was just encompassing the world in light. It was just during the silent minute meditation that they were doing. And it was really profound for me. And I just had a sense of calm through the whole thing, like, because everybody was freaking out and everybody, what's going to happen, da, 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 da. And I felt it in people's spines, and I was like, you guys need to listen to this. It's crazy. And they have an annual Global Silent Minute Regeneration Through Silence event coming up on the 21st, which we know is the longest day of the year. And so the longest night, embracing grief, celebrating light. So I just put the links in here, and I can add it to our Facebook, and I can add it to the Proactive Group Facebook, but they have one on the 21st. It's 4 p.m. our time, but it's 9 p.m. GMT time. I don't know what that is. What's GMT time? Mountain time? Global?
Oh, come on, make us look bad. I
I
don't know.
don't know. All I know is Dot said it was 4 p.m. I was like, okay, well, hopefully I can make that. But it's on the 21st, and it's coming up. And I tell you, if you want a sense of peace and you want a sense of hope in your physiology, listening to these things, that what they do, the work that they do, and it's not just Dot, it's like people all over the world trying to create a sense of connection for everybody. And they used to travel all the time, and obviously everything is on Zoom now. And it's actually more powerful. With the election that was happening, they had people from all over the world on the call, really helping us pray for what was to come. And it's up to everybody to decide what they feel was right or wrong. But just having an inner peace that everything's going to be okay regardless of the outcome, that's really what's going to change everything. So anyway, I just added that because it's just another way to connect to ourselves. So
Yeah.
It's called Regeneration Through Silence, on our heart, and I don't know what that word is. Our heart beats in rhythm with the heartbeat of the Mother of the Earth, or Mother of the World. So it's just really connecting us to our roots, basically.
Wow.
And so it's taking it away from here and bringing it here. So anyway, it's very powerful, and I really think it's a good thing that people can do to get grounded.
Nice. Very nice.
One thing that stuck with me, Tisa, it was years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, maybe. But
Years ago, it's
that was
plural.
years ago. Yeah. We did it like a workshop, or it was some get together at your at Cheshire Wellness. I can't remember exactly what it was, but you were talking about that, like your heart space in your head, and how your posture, if you're like this, you're coming at it from a mind, and having your heart actually in front of your head. And even when you're sleeping, maintaining that so that you're coming from your heart. That's something I always that always comes up for me. I always try to check in with that. But that's been really powerful.
Yeah, I think about it more like when I'm walking down the hall, because that's the best vision that helps me have good posture, is if you're leading with your heart. It's not like just putting your shoulders back, because that can be so awkward and so not coming from the right space. I mean, if you're leading with your heart, your shoulders just fall into the right place. They just do. It's not like, okay, I got to put my shoulders back. Now I'm really like stressing my trapezius muscles because I'm trying to put my shoulders back. It's just kind of like, no, you're just walking very naturally. And when I remind myself to do that, it just feels right. It just feels balanced.
Yeah.
And I do tend to be a person who's like, I've even got hunched shoulders because I think I'm always so eager to get there that I'm going with my head, that I'm just so eager to get to the next point that I'm just like, okay, let's go. The things about you that you don't, you stop and somebody mentions something and you're like, yeah, I do that. Why do I do that? That's my personality. Why. That's my personality. I'm sort of a type A. I'm sort of like, let's just get there and get it done. And
but you can still be a type A, get there, go get her kind of person, and still
lead with your heart. Yeah,
maintain.
You can still walk really fast when you're.
You can still walk really fast. Walk with your arms out. We call that posture a high heart. So, Becky, you appreciate this. So I always, regardless of what people's, beliefs are. So just imagine a string coming down from the heavens, like whether it's God or the universe or the creator, whatever you want to call it. A string's coming down from the universe, it wraps around the heart and it's pulling you up. And this was like the analogy that we used in chiropractic school. It comes down and it's pulling you up and it's leading you this way. And so life's leading you this way, because just imagine it's just, you're like floating, but your heart is leading the way. And that's exactly what our natural posture is supposed to be. And when we find ourselves in the defense posture, without saying too much, that's where the rib cage and the lumbar spine starts to feel the tension, because Becky, you're saying like the shoulders are coming forward, so the head has a tendency to come forward, and you could bring the shoulders back, but the head can still stay forward. So if you imagine you're leading this way, it actually creates that feminine arch in the low back, which we all need. It doesn't mean that men can't have a feminine arch, because they tuck their tail too. So we all need a little arch. Their power just comes from a little higher, not so much right where the hips and the lumbar spine come together. Theirs is actually the thoracic and lumbar spine. That's where their power comes. But it's still the high heart. And I always use my new day, because of Marvel comics and all that stuff, and I'm a big nerd when it comes to that. How superheroes stand. How do superheroes stand? They stand like this. They're like, I've got this. They don't stand like, oh yeah, I'm a really powerful superhero. They're always like this. And it's a great one with kids. And so be like, stand like Captain America, or stand like Batman, or stand like Superman, or, Captain Marvel. It's just a
I never knew that about you.
What? Oh, that I'm a huge
I never knew that about you. You learn things. Now let's talk about, we had a girls' night not long ago. Allison, you were gone, so you couldn't be there, but
we'll have another one.
Yeah, but that was like great. And this is another thing I'm going to be talking about tomorrow on the radio, and that's the importance of like eating together, being together, eating. Eating is not like an isolated thing that we do, but a lot of us do a lot of isolated eating these days, whether it's in the car or, by ourselves or at our desks or that kind of thing. But that was just so fun. But it was the whole thing. It was like being with all of you guys, girls, ladies, women. But it was also we were at Papagallo's, and it was just so festive at Papagallo's, and it was really busy, and everything. It was just so good to be out with a group. And it's not like we all know each other that well. Some of us meeting for the first time or whatever, but we just laughed and we talked about so many different things. And it was great. So, I think that's the other thing too, is to really cherish spending time with people. If you're going to, if you love doing that, make a priority to get together with people. Yeah.
That's 100% true. And remember what the waitress said? She's like, oh, this is going to be the fun table. And I think our laughter was like contagious, because I pay attention to people around us. And I saw a couple tables where people were just on their phones, and we would say something and we'd all laugh. And everybody, some people would be like, what's so funny? They're like looking around like, what's funny? And be like, come on, guys, put your electronics away. This is dinner time. Like,
I know.
So what it's all about. It's all about being together and just honoring what is good,
Yeah. And just enjoying one another. Just
and enjoying it.
Just enjoying each other. And yeah, so that was really fun.
We'll do it again, I promise.
All right, so it looks like we're coming to an end here of this program. We wish you a wonderful holiday, however you celebrate it. I say Merry Christmas to you Christmas celebrators, because I'm certainly one of those. And then just, again, enjoy. And when you feel tempted to feel stressed by it, just take a deep breath and say, what is it really going to kill anybody if I don't do that? If I put that down, if I just don't get to that. And savor the moments.
That's all about, I agree, 100%. It's all about presence with a C, not presence with a T.
Yeah.
That's what.
And presents with a T are fun, but I also think it's fun to just keep them. What I like about presents with a T is the reflection of your understanding of the person you're giving the present to, not its monetary value or whatever. It's more like, how does this fit this person? And why am I thinking of that for this person? And I think that's the fun of presents and surprising people with things they wouldn't think that you would think of.
Right, and lighting them up.
Yeah. And gratitude. It's not happy people that are thankful, but thankful people that are happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In fact,
Yes.
I shouldn't say this but for all of my staff, I got this, each one of them like a necklace, and it's grateful. It's just like a thing. It's not an expensive necklace. It's just part of but I'm so grateful for them. And I think, gratitude is really the root of joy. Because there are so many things to be grateful for. And if you don't pay attention, we've talked about this many times, but if you don't make note of it, you can become like Scrooge. You can be Mr. Old Bah Humbug, nothing's right, blah, 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 do. And when you notice, like, I'm just so grateful that my husband and I got COVID during Thanksgiving before our daughter came. We're all over this now. We can't give it to her. If she gets it, she can't give it to us. And the timing was perfect. I mean, if this had happened now, it just would have been so bad, So, I mean, there's just things you look at and you're like, wow, that was so good that happened, because that's just now out of the way. Yeah.
Right. Attitude of gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I am grateful for you ladies. I am grateful for this group. I am grateful for this year that we have had. It's been a tremendous ride, ups and downs, but we made it through,
Yep. And tomorrow's another day, and today is today. And also just a shout out to Dr. Matt and Dr. Jean Clarkett. And we'll be back. We're back when? The first
Friday of the new year, I think.
Yeah, which is what? Is that the 7th?
It is the 7th. Yes, it is.
All right, January 7th. We will see you January 7th, 2022. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
All right.
Take
Gratitude.
care.
Bye.
Bye.